Matt Lenihan Boxing Social in association with William Hill and Empire Fight Store. I'd like to be joined by Eddie Hearn. Eddie, look me up and down there. What's going on?
It's a bit of a naughty Box Raw tracksuit, isn't it? I like it though.
It's not bad, is it?
I actually think Box Raw stuff is fantastic, really good. And I don't have any shares in them or any financial.
Not getting paid.
No, I do get some Box Raw stuff every now and again, but they sent me some stuff. They sent me a Terence Crawford tracksuit. Just not sure whether I can really wear that out, but I like that. Nice.
Maybe for the next presser, seeing as though we went with the sliders and shorts in Orlando. Look, we're here at Katie Taylor, Chantelle Cameron, part 2. Huge implications for the winner and the loser of this fight. How big is this fight? It's a great rematch.
It is, and the first fight was fantastic. I mean, the atmosphere was incredible. You know, you had a lot of people in boxing felt like it was good timing and the right fight for Chantelle Cameron. You know, the wider audience thought Katie Taylor is unbeatable. Chantelle Cameron was exceptional. Won the fight pretty comfortably in a back and forth. And now Katie Taylor's got it all to do. You know, people talking about her career's over if she loses this fight. Chantelle Cameron's going to come with more confidence. I think she's already said that she's looking to do damage in there and hurt Katie Taylor. And I think she's going to try and stop her in this fight. And I think she thinks she will. So it's a massive rematch, you know, for Irish boxing, for women's boxing, and you're going to get another epic fight.
You think Chantelle's coming into this with a bit of a chip on her shoulder? Because straight after the fight she was like, look, I don't want to keep defending my belts, I want to go fight for hers. We're now fighting again back in Ireland. I know obviously Katie's a huge draw and she's one of these icons in women's boxing who's opened the door, but do you think all these factors, the fact she already won the first fight, she's like, I'm coming in here to seriously make a statement because of all these things that's happened?
Yeah, I think that, you know, Chantelle probably feels like Katie Taylor is the focus of the fight. It's very difficult when you've got such a huge name like Katie with huge commercial drawing power. You know, the gate that we can generate in Dublin, and that's the reason we're able to pay these tremendous fighters a lot of money, because of the money that Katie Taylor generates, and now the money that Chantelle Cameron generates as well. But you know, I think there is a little bit of a chip on Chantelle's shoulder in this fight. You know, obviously it is Cameron against Taylor this time around. She will walk second. You know, she'll get the champion's prerequisites, but at the same time, we are coming back to Dublin. But she's confident, and I think she thinks she's going to do a better job this time.
Is Croke Park still on the table for Katie Taylor if she does take a defeat, and ultimately the decision will be down to her? But will you still be pushing for that, to give her that opportunity to fight in a big stadium?
I think she must win. I mean, you know, there's of course the Serrano fight there if she doesn't win, but I think back-to-back defeats is tough in anyone's career. And I think she's going to be in a position where she goes into this fight, the preparation, with the mindset of my career is on the line. And, you know, I'll ask her that here today. I'm a bit scared to ask her that, but that's the reality of the questions that should be asked to Katie Taylor. What happens if? And I know she'll come in firing for this fight.
I've always spoke to you over the years about what territories would you like to dive into, and you've gone all over the world. You keep maintaining, look, we're the only global promoters. You just signed this deal for Japan. You're going to be hosting 3 fights there. How pleased are you? You've got such a big deal over the line to go to that part of the world.
Yeah, it's a massive deal. You know, it's a massive deal as a territory. It's a massive deal financially for us as well, and that is the plan. You know, you're going to see a lot more of these deals fall into place. You know, with new broadcasters in Asia, particularly there. Obviously, the shows will be on DAZN worldwide outside of Asia. But it allows us to take major fight nights to Japan, and it's not just Japanese fighters. They want big international names, and we've got the budget to do it as well. So, you know, Britain will always be our bread and butter, but we are a global business, and there is no one doing what we're doing, and Japan is a big market, and we have 3 or 4 deals like that in the making at the moment, and we'll continue to expand.
Speaking of global, Canelo, Alvarez, Jermell, Charlo, a lot of rumblings on Twitter from some quite reliable sources that this could end up on DAZN. Have you got any news on that, and is it going to end up on DAZN?
Yeah, I think there'll be an announcement imminently on UK broadcast. I won't say too much. If DAZN do secure it, it's a fantastic news for UK subscribers. Obviously, we've got the Jordan Thompson-Opetaia fight this weekend, and then could potentially roll straight into that, so we'll see. But a good fight. You know, a lot of people saying it's gone on under the radar, the fight, and I get a bit of that, but it is Tuesday, so you know, once those arrivals start tomorrow. I spoke to Sal, just messaged him last night and said, people love it when I say that, but I did.
Message Sal.
I did. No, but just to say, listen, I wish you the best of luck. I hope he wins. You know, I think he's a tremendous fighter, and I think he will win as well. I think he's motivated for this fight.
Zhilei Zhang's team, Terry Lane in particular, put a tweet out, I think it was yesterday. He was saying after the fight with Hrgovic and after Joshua lost to Usyk, he says that we begged Eddie for that AJ fight after the Usyk rematch. The contract was up and we said, give us Joshua or we'll have to go elsewhere. Obviously, with this delay with Joshua Wilder now, looking at February, March next year, Zhilei Zhang, tremendous victory last week over Joe Joyce. You consider him for Anthony Joshua?
Yeah, I mean, we've always considered him for Anthony Joshua because I think it's a massive fight in China. When we had Zhilei Zhang, there wasn't really the interest from China at government level to bring a big fight there. But that would probably change now after the two Joe Joyce victories. I think realistically, if the Wilder fight now is going to happen in February or March, we've got to make the decision if we fight in December. Would that be against Zhilei Zhang? For sure. If there was a big fight to be made in China, Josh would have no problem taking that fight. He feels very comfortable fighting Zhang. He's beaten him before in the Olympics. And, you know, we've seen a lot of Zhang as a team up close. Obviously, the fight on Saturday made him look very good and very dangerous. And he is a good fighter. But I feel that he's very beatable. And I believe AJ would beat him comfortably and no problem discussing that fight.
Look, it's normally you who comes on the back end of a lot of fire and criticism. I remember a few weeks ago in an interview you said, I'm giving all that to Frank Smith now. Well, he's got it, and some comments which I don't think he meant to say what he said in the way he said it, but can you understand from a public point of view, from the average working Joe in the street, a plumber, builder, whoever sees them comments and goes, why shouldn't we have an interest? We're paying DAZN, we're paying money to see set fight a fight. We want to know the transparency. I know there's confidentiality, but we're sort of past all that, we're not now, because it's all come out. So
we're not, because that appeal apparently is still in play. I get what Frank Smith was trying to say. I don't think he delivered it very well, and he'll take the criticism for that as well. I think the key point is scientific reports and scientific evidence will stay within the case. Don't forget, these confidentiality stipulations are not from Conor Benn and not from us. We're told we're not allowed to release any of this information, especially when there's a potential appeal pending. So I think Conor Benn will release that information to the public. I do get Frank's point of you don't have to, like if you go through a trial of anything, you don't have to just go out there and make it available to the public. But if Conor Benn wants to do that, I don't think it's a terrible idea. I've seen a lot of the report. I don't understand most of it. So I think that was more of Frank Smith's point. But I think that Conor Benn wants the opportunity to clear his name in that respect. I think one thing that gets lost a little bit is when people say Conor Benn hasn't cleared his name, he's gone through all the processes to do that and won. And people talk about jurisdiction. I'll make it clear again, Conor Benn did not win his case on jurisdiction. So when that information is allowed to become available, I believe he will share it. But at the moment, he'll be told by his lawyers, you cannot, because you're under a confidentiality of a potential appeal.
But you understand where the frustration comes from the fans when they're asking that. And obviously, I know Frank Warren's obviously give Frank Smith a little bit of stick over it. I know I've heard you in your interviews, do you just sit back and go, thank God it's not me? Because in a way, you're like everyone else now. You're sort of watching it and laughing. I know you still have your back and forth with Frank, but Frank's missing the fight.
I mean, I don't know why, obviously Frank Smith gets under Frank Warren's skin, and I like to watch it. I think it's quite entertaining. Do you know what I mean? And I saw Frank's stuff yesterday. There was more shoulder rolls than a Floyd Mayweather fight, and but Frank Smith is learning as well. He's and he's going to say things sometimes that probably he shouldn't. I've been through it all. I've done 14, 15 years of back and forth with Frank Warren. And I've enjoyed it. And you have to be a certain type of character. And we'll see if it breaks Frank Smith. I don't think it will. I think he's too deep in now. But I think it will break a lot of people. It's not really for everybody. We sort of laugh and joke about these interviews and the stick and the abuse that comes with it. But when it's every day, you have to be a certain type of individual to soak that up and be okay with it. And Frank Warren's definitely that guy, because he's very resilient. Yeah, and so am I, because I've done 15 years of abuse and it still don't really bother me. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'd rather a pat on the back. But as I step away a little bit, maybe I'll get a few more pats on the back. But I just enjoy watching it. Obviously, from my point of view, I'm still going to do interviews every day. But, Frank Smith is, in my opinion, the best operator in boxing right now. Just completed himself that massive deal in Japan. He's operating at a different level. But it's very difficult being interrogated all the time in these interviews. I've had to sort of duck and dive, like I said, for 15 years. And, you know, I'll give him a little bit of stick on WhatsApp. He's in Tokyo at the moment about these comments. And he's got to take the criticism that comes with it. I get what he was saying, probably didn't deliver it very well. And if he's got to take the consequences and a bit of stick, good.
Well, look, Ben Eubank, coming on to the actual fight, have you got a time limit in which you will say, you know what, we want the fight in the UK, but we can't wait any longer? Because ultimately, you mentioned the board's in process with this appeal. Nobody knows where we're at from it. Nobody's released anything to say we're this far gone in the appeal. Have you got a date where you go, look, we need something sorting now because we need to fight?
Yeah, I mean, we will speak to the board this week and say, we want to do this fight December 23rd. And if they say, I mean, I don't see the appeal even. I mean, we still have no information about the appeal. I'm not even sure the appeal will happen by then. But if it does, great. We want it sooner rather than later. And we said that as soon as they said they were going to appeal. Now, if they don't want to allow that fight, the fact is he can take that fight anywhere in the world because he's not suspended by any organisation. And if that's the case, it's very likely that fight will land in the Middle East. But we want to do the fight at Wembley or at Cardiff. And that's up to the board, but we'll certainly be asking them the question this week.
Right. Last one from me. If there's one fight in boxing you could make outside of the heavyweights, not necessarily your stable, I'm talking world boxing, a fight that you'd pay to watch as a fan right now, what would it be?
Well, I mean, Eubank Benn is probably the one, but you want to say, I mean,
outside.
Haney Prograis another one. But outside of I would go for... Canelo. I probably would go for Canelo against Bud. I think it's a bad fight for Crawford, and I don't think Canelo would come in under 168. But I think it would be a fascinating fight.
Eddie, appreciate your time.
Cheers, mate.